Simone Sterling nervously adjusted her hair as she stared up at the departure board at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport, ATL. The flight to Phuket was delayed by half an hour, but that didn't bother her. The main thing was that the surprise had to go perfectly. Ronnie, her husband, was due to celebrate his 45th birthday in 3 days, but she had decided to show up early. She imagined how thrilled he would be to see her and Aaliyah standing in the doorway of the rented villa. "Mom, are you sure Dad will be happy?" asked 15-year-old Aaliyah, not looking up from her laptop. The girl was surprisingly serious for her age, with a sharp mind and incredible programming skills. "Of course, baby." Simone smiled at her daughter. "Daddy will be ecstatic. He missed us so much when he left for this business trip." Aaliyah nodded, but something odd flickered in her eyes. Simone didn't notice. She was too caught up in the anticipation of their reunion. 18 years of marriage, and she still felt the same excitement before seeing Ronnie as a giddy teenager. Ronnie Sterling was a man who commanded attention. Tall, athletically built, with piercing gray eyes and a charming smile. His luxury residential construction company, Sterling and Associates, had been thriving for 10 years. They built high-end custom homes for Atlanta families, and clients trusted Ronnie, not only because he was a professional, but because he seemed like such a reliable family man. In interviews with local papers, he often spoke about the importance of family values. He'd show pictures of his wife and daughter and talk about how he loved spending time with his loved ones. "Family is the foundation of everything," he would tell journalists. "Without a solid home life, you can't build a successful business. My wife Simone is my rock, and my daughter Aaliyah is the meaning of my life." Simone believed every single word. They had met at a contemporary art exhibition and started dating. Simone was studying literature, and Ronnie was already a successful engineer. After their wedding 18 years ago, Simone dedicated herself to their family. She gave birth to Aaliyah, managed the household, helped her husband with the business, checking paperwork and communicating with clients. "Attention passengers on flight DL-242 to Phuket," boomed the announcement over the loudspeaker. "Boarding is now beginning." Simone took Aaliyah's hand and they walked toward the gate. In her purse was Ronnie's gift, a costly Rolex Submariner watch. Simone had seen him eyeing it in a jewelry store window 2 months earlier. At the time, he sighed and said, "Maybe someday." She had spent $20,000 on the watch, nearly all of her personal savings, which she had been setting aside from household money for 3 years. But for her husband's happiness, she was willing to do anything. Aaliyah followed her mother in silence. In recent months, the girl had become even more reserved than usual. Simone attributed it to adolescence, but sometimes she caught strange, inquisitive looks from her daughter. Aaliyah seemed to be analyzing something, calculating, but she never shared her thoughts. The girl really was unusual. At 12, she was creating simple websites. By 13, she'd mastered the basics of programming. At 14, she began studying data analysis. Her teachers at the high school said Aaliyah had phenomenal abilities in math and computer science. She effortlessly solved problems that others struggled with, won all the coding competitions, and yet remained modest. She never tried to stand out among her classmates. The flight lasted an eternity, 12 hours with a layover in Doha. Aaliyah spent most of the time on her laptop, writing code and studying diagrams and graphs. Simone tried several times to look over her daughter's shoulder, but Aaliyah subtly turned the screen away so her mother couldn't see anything. "What are you working on, sweetie?" Simone asked. "Preparing a gift for Dad," Aaliyah replied, her eyes glued to the screen. "A surprise." "What kind of gift?" "You'll see, Mom. I think it'll be very educational." There was a coldness in her daughter's voice that made Simone uneasy. But the plane hit a patch of turbulence and her thoughts shifted to something else. Simone slept, dreaming of how she would spend a week with her beloved husband on the tropical island. She pictured them walking on the beach, having candlelit dinners, and swimming in the ocean. The last time they had vacation together was 2 years ago in Miami Beach. Since then, Ronnie had been constantly busy with work, traveling on business, and meeting with clients.
Once I finish this project, we'll definitely go somewhere, he promised. But new projects kept piling up. Mom, Aaliyah called softly as the plane began its descent over Phuket. Are you sure you know the villa address? Of course, honey. Dad sent photos and a detailed map. A beautiful spot right by the ocean. He said he rented it especially for our family vacation. Aaliyah pressed something on the keyboard again and slowly closed her laptop. On her face was a strange mix of determination and sadness. Mom, no matter what happens, please remember that I love you very much, she said unexpectedly. Aaliyah, those are such strange words. What's going to happen? Nothing, Mom. Just the taxi ride from the airport to the villa took about an hour. The driver, a smiling Thai man named Sinai, talked in English about the local attractions, pointing out temples and markets. Simone admired the Thai scenery the whole way. The palm trees, the exotic architecture. The air was humid and warm, smelling of flowers and spices. This was her first visit to Asia, and everything seemed surprising and new. Aaliyah remained silent, periodically checking her phone. Some notifications flashed on the screen, but the girl quickly dismissed them. Ma'am, your husband is a very good man, Sinai said in English. He's been renting this villa for a week. I brought him here. Aaliyah tensed and looked intently at the driver. Her face turned to stone. Simone didn't understand the English conversation, but she sensed her daughter was troubled. What did you talk about? She asked. Nothing important, Mom, Aaliyah replied. The driver was just telling me about local customs. The villa turned out to be even more beautiful than in the pictures. It was a 2-story building with white walls and a red-tiled roof, surrounded by tropical greenery. Palm trees, hibiscus, and orchids grew all around. A small pool sparkled in the sun, and the ocean was visible behind it. The place really was a paradise. Simone felt a surge of happiness that Ronnie had chosen such a romantic spot for their vacation. She imagined them having breakfast on the terrace, gazing at the ocean. Daddy's going to be so happy to see us, she whispered. Yes, Mom, Aaliyah replied softly. He'll definitely be surprised. They entered the cool foyer. The villa was tastefully furnished. Teakwood furniture, silk curtains, and local artwork. The scent of jasmine hung in the air, along with the faint smell of men's cologne that Simone recognized. It was Ronnie's favorite. On the coffee table were documents in English and Thai, the villa rental agreement, tourist brochures, and island maps. Next to them were 2 empty wine glasses and an empty bottle of Moët & Chandon French champagne. Looks like Dad had clients over here, Simone said, gathering the glasses. You know how he likes to impress his partners. Aaliyah said nothing, just pressed her lips together. Silence reigned in the house. All they could hear was the soft hum of the air conditioning and the sound of ocean waves outside the window. Simone walked up to the second floor where the master bedroom was located. Aaliyah followed, holding her phone tightly. On the staircase steps were women's high-heeled shoes, red stylish, size 7. Simone picked them up and examined them closely. The shoes were expensive. Italian, but she had never worn anything like them. She wore a size N. That's strange, she murmured. Where did these women's shoes come from? Mom, Aaliyah said softly, maybe you shouldn't go up there. Why? What's wrong? I just think we should call Dad first and let him know we arrived. But Simone was already at the top of the stairs. In the hallway, there were more things. A silk woman's blouse and men's jeans that she recognized as Ronnie's. Her heart began to pound faster. What was happening here? The door to the master bedroom was slightly ajar.
Simone pushed it open and froze. On the huge snow-white bed, Ronnie was asleep, his arms sprawled out, his torso was bare, his hair disheveled. And on the edge of the bed, wearing sea green silk pajamas, sat a woman with dark, tousled hair. Simone knew her. She'd known her since childhood. It was her younger sister, Carissa. Time stood still. Simone felt the ground give way beneath her, the air leave her lungs. Her heart was racing, her head was buzzing, and her ears were ringing. 18 years of marriage, trust, love, shared plans and dreams, everything collapsed in a single second. And it wasn't with a stranger, but with her own sister. Carissa turned at the sound of footsteps and went white as a sheet. Her brown eyes, so similar to Simone's, widened in horror. "Sim," she whispered, completely lost. Ronnie woke up at this voice and sat up in bed. Seeing his wife, he opened his mouth but couldn't utter a word. His face was a mask of shock. "Mom, let's go," Aaliyah said softly, taking Simone's hand. "We don't have anything to do here anymore." Simone couldn't move. Her legs felt glued to the floor. Fragments of memories flashed through her mind. Carissa coming to visit, playing with Aaliyah, celebrating family holidays together, Ronnie joking with her, calling her little sis, Carissa comforting Simone when she complained about how busy her husband was. "Sim, this isn't what you think," Ronnie began, pulling the sheet up to cover himself. "We can explain everything." "Explain?" Simone's voice was hoarse. "What exactly can you explain? How my sister ended up in bed with my husband?" "Sim, I'm sorry," Carissa cried. "It just happened. We didn't plan it." "Just happened." Simone felt fury roar inside her. "You flew to Thailand by chance? You ended up in this bed by chance?" "Mom, let's go," Aaliyah said softly, taking Simone's hand. "We don't have anything to do here anymore." Simone couldn't move. Her legs felt glued to the floor. Fragments of memories flashed through her mind. Carissa coming to visit, playing with Aaliyah, celebrating family holidays together. Ronnie joking with her, calling her little sis. Carissa comforting Simone when she complained about how busy her husband was. "Sim, this isn't what you think," Ronnie began, pulling the sheet up to cover himself. "We can explain everything." "Explain?" Simone's voice was hoarse. "What exactly can you explain? How my sister ended up in bed with my husband?" "Sim, I'm sorry," Carissa cried. "It just happened. We didn't plan it." "Just happened?" Simone felt fury roar inside her. "You flew to Thailand by chance. You ended up in this bed by chance?" "Mom, let's go," Aaliyah said softly, taking Simone's hand. "We don't have anything to do here anymore." Simone turned around and walked quickly toward the exit. Aaliyah ran after her. They left the villa, and Simone shakily called a taxi. "At any hotel," she said brokenly to the driver. In the car, she broke down and wept. Aaliyah hugged her mother and stroked her hair without saying a word. Her face was stern and determined. When they arrived at the hotel and settled into the room, Simone still couldn't believe what had happened. She sat on the bed, staring into space, trying to comprehend that 18 years of her life had been a lie. The husband she trusted had betrayed her with her own sister. All their joint plans, dreams for the future, and memories were now poisoned by this discovery. Aaliyah sat beside her with her laptop, calmly working. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. Windows filled with programs, graphs, and tables flashed on the screen. "Aaliyah, what did you mean when you said you had already punished Dad?" Simone asked, wiping her tears. Her daughter looked up from the screen. In her eyes was an adult determination that surprised her mother. The 15-year-old girl looked like an experienced investigator, ready to present her findings. "Mom, I've known about their relationship for a while," Aaliyah said softly. "Grandpa Paul taught me about programming and data analysis. For the last 2 months, I've been collecting evidence of Dad's infidelity." Simone sat up in bed, not believing what she was hearing. "You knew what?"
I noticed weird things about Dad and Aunt Carissa's behavior. He became secretive. She started avoiding our family gatherings. Plus, I accidentally saw suspicious messages a few times and overheard phone conversations. Aaliyah turned the laptop toward her mother. The screen showed a complex program with multiple graphs, maps, and diagrams. Do you know how modern technology works? People constantly leave digital footprints on the internet. Every social media post, every photo, every check-in at a cafe or restaurant, it all creates a portrait of their life. What are you getting at? Aaliyah opened the first section of her analysis. Mom, Grandpa taught me how to create programs to collect and analyze public information. Legal programs that only study what people post and open access. And I analyzed Dad's and Aunt Carissa's digital activity over the last 4 months. A map of Atlanta appeared on the screen, marked with multiple colored dots. See these red dots? Those are places Dad checked in or posted about on social media. The blue dots are where Aunt Carissa was, and the green dots are where they were at the same time. Simone stared at the map in horror. There were so many green dots. Restaurants, cafes, shopping centers, even the gym. Oh my God. They were constantly meeting up. That's not all, Aaliyah continued, switching to the next graph. Here's the time-based analysis of their internet activity. Dad claimed he was working late, but his last post on social media weren't made from the office. And Aunt Carissa supposedly went to the gym, but her geolocation showed restaurants and cafes. Simone felt shame and hurt burn within her. It turned out that all of Atlanta could have seen her husband was cheating, and she hadn't noticed a thing. And here's the most interesting part. Aaliyah opened another window. Analysis of their social media interactions. They liked each other's posts an average of 2 minutes after publication. They commented with veiled hints. They posted photos of the exact same locations just a few minutes apart. And all of this was publicly accessible. Yes, Mom. They thought that if they didn't take selfies together, no one would figure it out. But digital forensics is an exact science. All their meetings, all their hints, the entire schedule, it can be reconstructed from digital crumbs. Aaliyah displayed several more graphs. One showed the frequency of their messages at different times of the day. Another, the correlation of their moods by the tone of their posts. A third, the statistics of their appearances in the same locations. Math doesn't lie, Mom. The probability of them meeting by chance is less than 0.001%. It's a statistically proven pattern. Simone shook her head. Her daughter had become a real detective, using technologies she never even suspected existed. Aaliyah, what are you going to do with this information? Her daughter opened another program, a system for creating presentations and mass email deployment. I created a detailed analytical report on their secret relationship, scientifically grounded with graphs, statistics, and maps. Tomorrow morning, this report will be sent to all their friends, colleagues, and acquaintances. Aaliyah, you can't. Mom, I'm not stealing anyone's information or hacking accounts. I'm just systematizing what they themselves published on the internet. It's like journalistic research, only using big data and machine learning. Simone was silent. Part of her was horrified by her daughter's plan, but another part, the one burning with offense and humiliation, understood the justice of this approach. How exactly will you do it? She asked. Aaliyah smiled, the cold smile of an investigator. I have an automated distribution program tomorrow at 8 a.m. Atlanta time. When everyone checks their email before work, I will send the scientific analysis of their behavior to all their open friends' contacts on social media. And how did you get those contacts? Mom, friend lists on most social media platforms are open for viewing. I created a crawler program that collects this public information and forms databases. Everything is absolutely legal and ethical. Aaliyah showed her mother the final version of her report. It was a professionally crafted 30-page document titled Digital Analysis of Covert Social Connections, a case study in familial treachery.
The introduction explained the research methodology. Then came sections on geolocation analysis, temporal activity correlation, social interaction analysis, communication tone, statistical conclusions. At the end were appendices with original data and programming code. "This is a real scientific paper," Simone said in astonishment. "Grandpa taught me that any serious claim must be backed by data. I'm not accusing Dad and Aunt Carissa of infidelity. I'm simply providing facts and allowing people to draw their own conclusions." Simone shook her head. Her 15-year-old daughter was planning a technological expose with the cold calculation of a scientist. "Aaliyah, are you sure? He's your father." "Mom," the girl said seriously, "biological relation doesn't excuse betrayal. Ronnie Sterling made his choice when he started cheating on you with your sister. Now he'll face the consequences of his actions." Simone hugged her daughter. In that moment, she understood that Aaliyah hadn't been a child for a long time. The father's betrayal had forced her to mature early and become a strong, independent personality. "What happens next?" Simone asked. "Next, we go back to Atlanta. You file for divorce and get everything you're entitled to by law. My report will be excellent evidence of infidelity for the court." "And where will we live?" "Grandpa Paul invited us to Germany a long time ago. He moved there 6 months ago at the invitation of his old friend. Remember him telling us about it?" "Grandpa has a contact, Frederick Zimmerman. He's a widowed engineer at BMW. Grandpa says he's a very honorable person." Simone reflected. She did remember her father's stories about moving to Germany. Paul had received an invitation from his childhood friend, Frederick, with whom he had corresponded for many years. Frederick suggested he move to Munich and work as a consultant for German IT companies. "You've thought of everything," she said with admiration. "Grandpa didn't just teach me programming, Mom. He taught me strategic planning, systems analysis, and long-term forecasting. This situation requires a comprehensive solution." Simone's phone rang. Ronnie's name flashed on the screen. Aaliyah looked at her mother. "Don't answer yet. Let him worry and reflect on his actions." Simone declined the call. A minute later, a text message arrived. "Sim, please listen to me. This isn't what it looks like. We can talk everything through." "Classic manipulative tactic," Aaliyah commented. "It's not what it looks like. Interesting how he'll explain being in bed with your sister." Simone smiled for the first time in hours. Her daughter was right. What explanations could there be? Another message arrived from Ronnie. "Aaliyah, answer your father. We need to talk as a family." Aaliyah took her mother's phone and quickly typed the reply. "Data collected. Analysis complete. Results will be published tomorrow at 8 a.m. Atlanta time. Respectfully, your daughter analyst, Aaliyah." "Aaliyah?" Simone exclaimed. "What? I didn't lie. The results really will be published." Within minutes, the phone was flooded with calls from Ronnie, but they didn't answer. "Mom, go to sleep," Aaliyah said. "We have a very interesting day tomorrow, and I'll do a final verification of the distribution system in the meantime." Simone lay down but couldn't sleep. Her head spun with thoughts of betrayal, the future, and how to live now. Next to her, her daughter softly typed, preparing the technological revenge for the cheating husband and the treacherous sister. The tropical ocean roared outside the window, but Simone didn't hear it. She was thinking about how her life would change forever tomorrow. The morning in Atlanta was gray and rainy. Ronnie woke up in a hotel. After the argument with his wife, he didn't dare stay in the villa with Carissa. She went to her own hotel and they agreed to meet in the morning to discuss how to deal with the crisis. At that moment, exactly at 7:30 a.m. Atlanta time, Aaliyah was sitting in the hotel room in Phuket in front of her laptop. Simone was sleeping under the effect of a tranquilizer. "The time has come," Aaliyah whispered and pressed the necessary button. The distribution was launched. The program started running. Lines with email addresses, delivery statuses, and counters of sent messages appeared on the screen. The first batch went to Ronnie's colleagues and business partners, 247 addresses. It was a detailed presentation titled Expertise Analysis of Covert Connections in a Business Environment. It included maps of Atlanta with marked meeting points, temporal activity graphs, and statistical tables. 5 minutes later, a similar but expanded presentation was sent to all of Carissa's acquaintances, 156 addresses. Aaliyah added extra sections to the main analysis: psychological, behavioral patterns, sociometric analysis of communications, predictive model of relationship development.
At exactly 8 o'clock, the third wave began. Emails were sent to family, friends, and relatives. 89 addresses received the full report with the conclusion based on the analysis of 1,247 units of data collected from open sources during the period from March 15th to July 12th. The existence of systematic covert contacts between the research subjects is established. The signature on each email was strictly scientific, independent research results of social connections methodology based on big data analysis. All raw data obtained from publicly accessible sources. Research conducted by A. Sterling, age 15, 10th grade student, digital forensics enthusiast. The reaction was immediate. Ronnie was having breakfast in the hotel restaurant reading the news on his tablet when his phone started ringing off the hook with calls and notifications. The first to call was his business partner and best friend, Sean Garrett. "Ronnie, did you see what your daughter sent?" Sean's voice was a mix of shock and admiration. "What happened?" "Check your email right now and prepare for a surprise." Ronnie opened his email and found a letter from Aaliyah with the subject, Research Results. Studying the presentation, he froze. His daughter had proven his infidelity with mathematical precision and scientific rigor, using only publicly available information. The document was designed like a real scientific paper, with an abstract introduction, methodology description, results, conclusions, and a list of sources used. Aaliyah even included a section, Research Limitations and Recommendations for Future Study. Responses from recipients were already pouring in below the email. "Ronnie, I'm impressed by your daughter's professionalism. Such a data analysis deserves to be published in a scientific journal," wrote a professor from Georgia Tech whom Ronnie collaborated with. "Aaliyah is a genius, but you, Ronnie, should be ashamed," added an old friend. "Poor Simone." "Ronnie, how could you?" his neighbor indignantly wrote. "Excellent work. I will show this presentation to my students as a practical example of big data analysis," wrote the dean of the Faculty of Computer Science. In a panic, Ronnie called Carissa. "Carissa, did you see it?" "I see it," she screamed hysterically into the phone. "What is happening? How did she find all this out? Was she following us?" "Worse, she analyzed all our posts, photos, and comments on social media. Aaliyah knows how to code. She created some kind of analytical system." "What? Your daughter? But she's only 15.